Gezdim seni sokak sokak, vallahi yok hesap kitap, içimde avaz avaz yan yan.
Hey, what's up guys, it is Psycho or Sam here and welcome back to another video guys, and today we're going to be talking about a difficult part of making a game. And this is going to be a commentary video with a random gameplay in the background probably, which I haven't done for a very long time I feel like. And this video we're going to be talking about something called finishing the project. So this might sound like it's literally the easiest part of making a game because it's obviously like you get started and then you kind of just want to finish the game off. But it's very difficult when you actually get into game development, and you'll realize it if you're already an indie developer. And I came up with these tips, and I also read some of them on the internet when I was also new as a indie developer. I'm still an indie, but when I was really raw to the industry. And I feel like now that I'm a little bit more experienced, I want to give off these tips and pass them on to other people as legacy pretty much. Now that I'm a little bit more experienced, and I want to be able to help some indie developers out. So with that being said guys, I also want to just mention that I'm very sorry for not making actively videos anymore. And I don't want to say anymore because it sounds like I'm never gonna make any active videos again, but I will be making them, so don't worry about that. But with that being said guys, let's get started with this video. So first and foremost, I want to talk about something that is related to your ideas that you have about game development, and also some ideas that you have of games. So when you usually have like a lot of different ideas for games, you probably just like prototype a little bit to see which one fits you the best, or fits the fan base the best, or maybe even what makes you the most money, right? Because some people want to suit themselves, and some people want to make games that people are going to enjoy, but some people also think about the money, which is very normal. But basically, like, too many ideas can result in overflow, and this is a very usual mistake. Even I did, like, back in the day. I still make it sometimes, like, even with videos. I have way too many ideas sometimes, and I just kind of lose control and get like unmotivated to work on some of the games or some of the like tutorials that I work on, just because I have way too many ideas that come up and I feel like they're fresh, they had never been done before. But then I just realized, you know what, I already have this, tutorial series going on. And the same thing goes for games. Like, you already have a game going on. You've probably built a little bit of fan base for yourself, published a trailer, or maybe you're just very raw with the project. But try to prototype a little bit further, just like, you don't have to give up just because you have too many ideas. It's not a bad thing to have many ideas. It's a very good thing. It also proves that you are creative enough to come up with new different games that you can work on. But it doesn't mean that you should abandon every single project you start just because of a new idea, because you're just going to enter a never-ending loophole, as we usually call it, just because you have new ideas coming up every time you want to start a new project. So just start a new project, try to prototype a little bit and see what fits you the best, if you want to keep on working on the game, or if you have a better idea that you genuinely want to work on. Because if you don't genuinely want to work on the other game, like you just want to go on to it because it's a new idea, that's going to happen again. Like I said, it's going to be a never-ending loophole. And some people also ask, like, how should I prototype a lot? Like, I can just prototype, but how can you actually prototype a lot? And what does that mean? Like, what is your definition? Well, the definition is pretty much that you should just literally prototype a lot, but also really just focus, as if it's like, if let's say you have like 5 different or like 2 different game ideas, right? You want to pick one and you prototype on both and you don't really come up with an idea. I challenge you to prototype a little bit harder in terms of how much you focus on the games. Like, you should really give some time into it. And a lot of people, like what I've seen, a lot of people indie developers are just like giving a couple of weeks just to prototype and see what fits you the best. But if you have a couple of really good ideas in your mind, like you feel like they are very good and they have a lot of potential, you're gonna have a very difficult time of picking one. So what I suggest you to do is not only give it a couple of weeks, but place the thought of making the games like on the table for a while, and just try to prototype as much as you can. Literally, as soon as you get bored of actually prototyping and you feel like you have an answer to the question, which game should I pick to make, you should go ahead with that option that you come up with. Because if you can't answer your own question, it's not a rhetorical question. You should be able to answer, which game should I pick to make? Like, literally, it's one of the easiest questions, but it's very difficult to answer. And that's why I'm challenging you guys to prototype a lot harder. And not only because I want to fill this video with filler information, but I also want to challenge you guys to give some time to your prototypes. Just because they're prototypes and test projects, it doesn't mean that you have to abandon them after like a couple of weeks. Depending on the game size, like depending on if it's an RPG or a 2D game, you should really try to focus on that game and see what really fits you the best. And when you're done prototyping, what do? Well, you should really, I strongly recommend that you start focusing on one single project and kind of just like write down the other projects that you have in your mind, like on a notepad or whatever. And you just focus on one single project as if it's your only project to actually make. Because if you come up with new ideas under the time you're working on a game, it's not really, you know, the recommended action to do, because you're just going to get demotivated to work on, or unmotivated to work on the main or primary project you have. So just try to focus on the main project you have right now, try to finish it, and then see if you can actually move on from there, or if you want to like create an expansion or whatever for the game you just created. But in order to have a game that you created, in order to enter this title, you have to actually make a game. And in order to do so, you need to focus on one single project so you can finish it, instead of focusing on like 5 different projects, which is going to be really ridiculous. Also, one more thing that I found really useful when actually making a game is to build a fan base around the game really early in the development. Like, let's say you start with a couple of different ideas and you start prototyping. You choose, let's say you pick option A, or option A, right? So you pick to make this RPG game that you have dreamt of making, instead of doing the 2D game that you also really believe that there is a lot of potential in. And you just start building a fan base. Like, create a YouTube channel specific for the game, and also use your private YouTube channel if you do have one, in order to upload some trailers. Like, start posting some screenshots, create some social media accounts, also some platform video platform accounts like YouTube, some other platforms if you want to use one. Also start by like tweeting out, you know, uploading. If you're making the game on Unity, register a Unity forum account and start posting some screenshots, start posting some trailers. People are gonna give you some feedback, and people are very responsive on Unity's forums, so you're gonna get a lot of feedback from there. So I suggest you strongly to check that out. And if you're using Unreal, CryEngine, whatever, just check their forums. Like, they all have these communities built upon, around them, so that surrounds them. So just try to create an account and start really posting genuinely about your game. Give some information, try not to sell it out, but just share your game idea and see what people think of it. Building a fan base around your game is going to keep you very motivated to actually keep on working on the game, instead of coming up with a different idea that you think is going to be better. Because if you have a fan base, if you just have a game idea that you've been prototyping for let's say a couple of months, and you start working on the project and you're like 1 month in and you're like, well, I don't really feel like working on this anymore. If you have a fan base, that feeling is going to be gone pretty much always. Like, if you have a fan base, it's going to feel like you're pretty much like sacrificing your own ego, or you're sacrificing your community for the sake of your own ego, which is going to be very difficult for you to do, which is going to keep you motivated to work on the game more. Because if you have a fan base that gives you constantly like feedback on how to update the game, how you can make it look better, how you can make it feel better, play better, you know, make it more smooth, whatever, it's going to feel so much better than being completely alone with a team or by yourself if you're a lone wolf. And you know, it's just going to grant you with some external feedback from people that don't know your game as much as you do, because you're the developer. If you give yourself some feedback, it's obviously going to be relatable, but it's also going to be like, well, I already know this part of the game, so the feedback that I'm giving myself isn't really that much counted. But if you have a fan base around the game that is going to give you, or people just externally giving you feedback, they don't know your game. They just play your game's demo or whatever, like watch your trailer, and they're like, well, this looks cool, you know, this is the first time I see this looks cool, it has a lot of potential, but I feel like you can do this better, or I feel like you can improve this. So take that feedback and actually implement that into your game, and be communicative with your fans and show them that you're there for their support. Because if you do that, that's also going to motivate your fan base base and also increase your fan base, so you're gonna get a lot more fans on your game there. I also talked a little bit about adding features suggested by fans and also your fan base, whatever. But also, you should consider adding some of the features that you come up with yourself. Because a game you won't play isn't a good game in your book, right? So, do you want to create a game that you won't play? Like, you obviously, if you're creating a game, like let's say you're creating this RPG game, you should be able to sit and play through the prototype without getting bored, even though you're the creator. Because it should feel fun, it should feel smooth, it shouldn't feel clunky. The features should, feel really smooth and actually very well made. Because you should look at the game as if you're the customer. If you want to purchase a game for, let's say, even $10, you don't want to feel scammed. You don't want to feel like you bought a game that wasn't really worth the $10 or whatever the price is, right? Because if you look at your game as a developer, you're just going to be like, the game looks good. I did a good job here because I spent X amount of hours. But the important part isn't how many hours you spent. It's important how you show it to your fans that you've actually spent your time. Because if you spend, say, 50 hours on a game, right? 50 straight hours on a game, and the game still sucks, those 50 hours aren't gonna help you. If you get a complaint and you're like, well, I spent 50 hours on that game, it's not really going to help. So are you going to sit by yourself? Like, imagine yourself as a customer. You buy a game and then the developer has really did a terrible job on the game and the features aren't at all fun, and you just complain and you're like, well, the game isn't really worth these $60 or whatever. And the developer is like, well, I spent so many hours on this game. And it's like, well, I didn't really ask for that. I know that it's like a self-defense mechanism, but it's not really useful if you think from a customer perspective. So just try to position yourself as a customer for your own game. After making the game, you should be at a spot where you thoroughly can enjoy playing your own game. And if not, it obviously means that there is something wrong, because if you create something, if you're the creator of a content like a game, you should obviously be able to enjoy it, because if you want to make other people enjoy it, you need to make sure that you start enjoying it as first, because you need to realize that you are the first player. Even though your customers might be there might be a first customer, first purchaser, whatever, but you are still the first player, and you should still give the first impressions, or have the first impression of, wow, this game is actually really good. And how do you do that? Well, you want to add features that are very good for you. It's obviously important to add features that are being suggested by your fan base, but if you don't have features that are going to suit you and that are going to make you feel like, wow, this game is actually really good, what's the point of making the game then? But anyway, guys, those are pretty much my 2 cents on this topic right here. Let me know in the comments and let us know what you think of this topic. If you feel like it's important to actually have your own features you want to have in your game too, or if you should only add your features suggested by fans. If you feel like you disagree with me on something, let me know. I'm always responsive, so I'm gonna try to reply as soon as possible. And also, don't forget that a lot of indie developers watch my channel and they join our community every day, and we have new people every day joining our community. And I want to first and foremost welcome these people, and I also hope you guys enjoy your stay. And I also want to mention to my fan base that, these people are indie developers, so whatever you write will actually help somebody out there. So if you have any life experiences, if you have any suggestions for people to take use of, make sure to leave a comment down below, and I'll also try to pin your comment if I feel like it's very worthy. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, guys, and also subscribe if you want to stay up to tune for new videos coming soon. Don't forget to leave a comment as well. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the comments down below. See you guys. Peace out. Big love.
Gezdim seni sokak sokak, vallahi yok hesap kitap.